Hi, and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are all doing well. Broadcasting to you today across YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, and of course, we are here on Twitch for all you Twitch users. Welcome along to the show. It's Monday. Another week over here in the UK anyway, in lockdown. Seems to have become, I heard some minister saying yesterday, we have to get used to a new norm, right? So this is kind of the new norm at the moment in lockdown. It continues. It's not going to last forever. It's what we're having to do right now to just get through this really horrible situation, but it does continue at the moment under lockdown. However, as I did describe yesterday, some of the players going to be returning back to training today. It's a limited training, but they are going to be allowed access to the training ground at London Coney, where they'll be able to go in there and train. So I think the way they're doing it is they're going to allow them in 5 players at a time to the training ground, is what I've been told. There are, of course, lots of pitches at the training ground. You don't just go in there and there's one pitch. There's loads of outdoor pitches. There's indoor pitches as well. And those 5 players will be able to train on their own. They've got to come in on their own, train on their own. But of course, being able to go into the training ground gives them a lot more scope to do more training than just like, say, having a bike at home and riding on that. That doesn't, you know what I mean? That gets pretty boring, number one, after a while. And plus as well, you're not really training much of your skills by doing that. So, it's good because the players will be able to come in. I note that it's under a voluntary basis, is what they said. I'm like, voluntary basis? I mean, what if a player, especially a first-team player, said, "No, actually, I'm staying at home"? I mean, I suppose he could do, because he could say, I think the reason why they've said that is because if a player was still worried about going out and catching the virus, he could stay at home. You're not forcing him into doing it. But I would have thought that every player will want to hit that training ground and do some training. But as I said, they are doing it in a very sensible way. There's going to be social distancing. Every player's got to come in on their own, train on their own, and then go home on their own. So it's sensible. I think it's very sensible. And it's the first sort of tentative steps to getting back to full training and some sort of normality, and hopefully for us being able to resume the Premier League season. I mean, we still got lots of problems over here with the coronavirus. There's still so many deaths. I mean, it's so sad what's going on at the moment. But hopefully we will get to a stage where we start to see a fall in that, and we start to get back to some sort of normality. And it'd be good, I think, a good tonic to see some football play before the end of the season. So let's see what happens with that. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, again, every single day, we hear this rumour, we hear that rumour. There's been reports, it was yesterday and today really, that Arsenal have ended transfer talks with him. I saw this report in one of the newspapers today. When I read it, there's absolutely no substance to it at all. There's no, oh, this person said this, or it's been, you know, it's just been stated that it's been reported that Arsenal have ended transfer talks. So there's no substance to the story whatsoever. The real truth about the whole matter is nobody right now knows what is happening with the whole Aubameyang situation. Arsenal could be looking at it and saying, well, listen, the season ain't even finished yet. Let's wait until the season finishes and sort it out then. Let's see what sort of situation we're in after the coronavirus. Certainly, I've said it before that I find it a bit incredible that they haven't sat down and done some sort of deal. I know it's hard times at the moment and players are having to take pay cuts and stuff like that, but I still find it extraordinary that they haven't sat down and sorted this out in this period. I mean, well, you can't sit down with the person. You can do a Zoom call, or you can even call them in and do social distancing and discuss it. But I just feel that, this is the period where they should be getting this whole thing sorted out. And until they do that, the rumours are going to continue and continue, and they seem to change every day. One day, he's off to this club, he's off to that club. The next day, like today, they've withdrawn the deal. Probably be tomorrow, he's close to signing. I mean, it's just going to linger. I've seen this so many times over the years. It's going to linger on until some sort of deal is done. And I really do hope that Arsenal can get this sorted out sooner rather than later, because it is just now getting annoying for every Arsenal fan with this thing just lingering on and on and on. Now, a lot of papers reporting today that Arsenal's number one target in the transfer market this summer is going to be this guy. I spoke about him a few days ago, Orkun Kökçü. He plays for Feyenoord, very, very talented player, still only 19 and a Turkish under-21 international. As I said a few days ago as well, there's Turkey producing so many top players, especially I noticed Turkey produce a lot of very skillful players, and he's another one in the long line of that. Plays for Feyenoord over there in the Dutch league. Now, we know that the Dutch league has been voided, the first sort of league across Europe to be voided. No winners to that league, no relegation. The season has just been written off. And of course, they don't have the mega TV money coming in over there, what they do in the Premier League. However, it will be financially damaging to all clubs over there. There's a lot of clubs over there in Holland very upset about the season getting voided, and they're going to take a massive financial hit. And some of these clubs will be up for selling. I mean, they've always been selling clubs in Holland anyway, because of, they just don't get the finances of the other leagues. But some of these clubs are definitely going to be up for selling some of their players. Now, originally, some of the prices being bandied around for this guy were around about £23 million. I can't see that happening. You're not going to see, in this current crisis, a player like that going for that amount of money, in my opinion. I think it will come down a bit, but he may be available in the summer, and Arsenal very, very interested in him and could be set for a move to Arsenal. He is what a lot of people are describing as the number one priority. I'm not too sure about that. But as a long-term maybe successor to Özil, he plays in a similar type of position. He assists, he scores goals, not enough assists, not enough goals, but he's a very young player and maybe a player that they're looking for in the future. Arsenal definitely looking to, by the looks of it, build with a lot of youngsters. So let's see what happens with that. However, I say about building with youngsters, the next player that they've been linked with is Chelsea's Willian. And there's a lot of reports today that Arsenal are leading the race to sign Willian. I don't know what you think about that. But Willian, of course, he's 31 now. He's been a brilliant player for Chelsea over the years. Famously was on the verge of signing for Tottenham, and then at the last minute went and signed for Chelsea, which made him an instant Chelsea legend. But he's been brilliant for Chelsea over the years, and he's been having a decent season this year as well. And I think there was a lot of Chelsea fans that wanted him to stay. He wanted to stay. He absolutely loves it. He's been on record and said he loves it in London and wants to stay in London. But Chelsea are not looking to renew his deal, or certainly not for the sort of money that he wants to for renewing that deal. So he is going to be on the move. And as I said, he loves it in London. Now, Arsenal are said to be one of the favourites to sign him. I don't know what you think about this. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, there's people moaning about Aubameyang, who's slightly younger than Willian, and signing in. And then what, we're going to go and sign another 31-year-old? I mean, obviously, it's one of those deals that Arsenal love, is that he's available on a free contract. So there'd be no fee for him. It would just be a matter of sorting out wages. We know he's still got a lot in him. You watch him play, he hasn't lost it. He's still a very good and talented player. But I don't know. I mean, there is a theory that we could sell Aubameyang, bring Willian in. Willian could play on one of the wings. And then you could have, say a Martinelli on the other wing or a Pepe on the other wing with Lacazette down the middle. Or you could do You could have Willian on one wing. You could have Martinelli down the middle, Pepe on another, or even Pepe playing centrally. There's lots of different, methodologies that you could work out if you brought Willian in. And he's not a bad player. He's not a bad player, but it's another one of those aging players from Chelsea. Petr Cech, Gallas, right? We're doing it again. And what sort of Willian are we going to get? Are we going to get the Willian that, we've seen over the years has been brilliant? Or we are going to get a Willian that's at the end, the sort of cast-offs? That is what every Arsenal fan will be looking at. I want to ask you guys today, let's do a poll on it. We'll do a poll in the community group. Yes or no for Willian? Would you have him at Arsenal, or do you say to yourself, nah, cast-offs, we don't want it? And also in the comments, let me know what you think about Willian. If he came to Arsenal, do you think that would be a good signing? Again, as I said, weigh up the pros and cons about it. He would be a free, so it wouldn't cost any money. And at the time where there's not a lot of money floating around, could make sense. But I don't know. I'm leaving it to you guys. Jump in the comments now and let me know. And Bernd Leno, yesterday, he got to the final of the PES 2020 football tournament. There was a tournament done featuring a lot of top players across Europe. He got to the final. Got beaten in the final, actually, by a player from Schalke. But he did get to the final. So his PES game is definitely up there, right? It's definitely up there. Let's hope when the football resumes, he can do the same thing on the pitch. But well done to Leno for getting to the final. Let's get into some of your comments. As I said, particularly on this Willian thing, I wouldn't mind hearing from you guys. Graham says, Willian might be a great short-term playmaker. True. Again, free. So, it'd be a free transfer. So Idris says, Willian is washed up. This is why Chelsea don't offer him a new deal. The fact that we are taking another Chelsea reject says a lot about this club. So you can see from him, he is definitely not feeling that at all. Definitely not from him. Rodrigue says he's from Rwanda, enough respect. And he says, Robbie, Willian is deadwood. I would take Douglas Costa, who's being wasted by Juve. Remember how he tossed Bellerin. Douglas Costa is a good player, and he is sort of wasting away at the moment. But do we need a winger? That's the other thing. Arsenal Vlog says, I genuinely think Willian isn't for me. It's another Chelsea reject, and Chelsea always sell players to Arsenal. Why don't Arsenal ever get Chelsea's best players? Very, very true. This guy says Willian would still be on high wages. He would be on high wages. This guy's recommending, well, how about Ryan Fraser? He's also going to be available on a free. But if you was to weigh up the two, Willian's a much better player than Ryan Fraser. I'm sorry. Ryan Fraser is younger, of course, but quality-wise, I'd definitely be saying Willian would be, if you're going for one of those two on a free, it's got to be Willian for me. TJ says, as a Chelsea fan, Willian for his age is actually very great. Got good stamina, and he will add to you. He does. I'm telling you, if you watch Willian play, he doesn't look. Again, he's another one of these players that doesn't play like he's in his 30s. He's still got lots of energy. Still got the pace. Still got the trickery. Good at free kicks. He's a good player. I think he's still in the Brazil squad as well. Still a top player. Omar says, hi, Robbie. Willian would be a great signing as a backup and will bring experience to the dressing room. Could help develop Martinelli and Saka. Okay. Could help develop them. Could also stand in their way of progress. Could stop them from playing week in, week out. That's the other thing as well. Reedus says, Agent Willian, no way. So he's not feeling that. Chim says, Willian is a baller. Sign him for 2 years. Okay, so he's up for that. Oh, sorry, I've already done that one. But lots of them pouring in about Willian, like these. Arman says, Robbie, why are we not looking at Calvin Phillips? We all know he's a quality player, and if Leeds gets into the Premier League next season, his value might go up and multiply 4 to 5 times. So why not try and get him now? I think the Calvin Phillips thing, if Leeds get up, they're not going to sell him. I mean, you know, he's going to be vital for them staying up. So they're not going to sell Calvin Phillips if they get up into the Premier League. If they don't get up, if the season was cancelled or something like that, well, definitely, I think they might be looking to sell him then, because he would have value. And yeah, I think he's a very, very good player. He's going to get better. THDDI says Arsenal should scout the Dutch and Belgium talent pool. There are a bunch of great young players who would be, and there will be long-term benefits for Arsenal. Well, obviously, as I said, they're looking at this guy, Orkun Kökçü. He's one of the guys they're looking at. They're looking at guys over there in the Belgium league as well, Jonathan David and people like that. So they are looking in those leagues, definitely, and it will be cheaper. This guy says Willian is a big game player, but it would not make sense to get him and to let go Aubameyang. And this guy's Kirby says, but Willian for Aubameyang, forget it, he says. So he's not feeling that. Ben Selby says Willian will link with David Luiz at Chelsea. Don't want him because they've got, he must be saying, he said Chelsea don't want him because they've got Ziyech coming in. But Willian is quality. Remember, that's true. You know, if he came to Arsenal, number one, he lives in London. He loves London. So that's a plus. He wouldn't need to be settled in. Number two, him and David Luiz, good friends, both Brazilian, both played at Chelsea for a long time. So he would find it quite easy to settle in. There's no language barrier things and stuff like that. And as a short term, could be a decent player. Dagmar says, Willian is another David Luiz. Look at his hair. And Leon says, we need to stop signing players in their 30s on high wages. Of course, the wages will be high. I mean, I think that's the reason, you know, apart from, all right, yes, they do have Ziyech coming in, but apart from the fact they've got Ziyech coming in, it's also the wages factor. You know what I mean? Willian's not gonna be cheap. He's gonna want to be get rewarded. You know, he's still considered a top player. Santan says, hey, Robbie, I think Willian will be a good addition to the squad. He's got at least 2 years of top football in him, would be a great addition. Also, we should also be looking at Ben Rama. He's a baller. So that's another vote there for Willian. Onion Head says, if Willian loves London so much, let West Ham have him. There's a reason Chelsea haven't offered him a new deal. Well, you just heard the Chelsea fan, though, say that, you know, he's a good player. A couple of Chelsea guys have come on here and said he's still got it in him. Quasi says, no, stop taking rejects from other clubs. There's a reason why they don't offer them new contracts. Well, you know, he's got a point there. He's got a point. But sometimes if you've got a player that you can get for free and he's quality, why not? Matt Tompkins says, Arsenal need 2 centre-backs, 2 centre midfielders, 1 winger right-footed. 1 right back, not Willian. So he's not having it at all. Lars says, sign Willian so we can swap Lacazette with Partey. Okay, all right. So he's coming up with a little plan for it. Lee says Willian is not long term. So it's really mixed, really mixed. This is a good one. I'll throw this one out there to people out there. This is Matty P. He says, would you keep Ozil on a cheaper wage? Interesting. Right, you know what? Let's throw that one out there. Would you keep him? Would you keep Ozil on a cheaper wage? That's a good question. That is a very, very good question. I'm not going to answer it yet. I'm going to Matty P26. They puts a very good question. Let's throw that one out there as well and get your opinions on it. That's a very, very good question, because part of the big problem is obviously with Ozil is the massive money that he's on. But if, like, say, got to the end of his deal, you're negotiating an extension, and he says, all right, I'll stay 100 grand a week or something, would you do it? Or do you still move him on? Let us know. This guy says, from Australia, good to have you guys. And he says, Willian is good for a few years. We need a winger. Pepe is poor and Martinelli is too young. So he's feeling Willian. We paid a lot of money for Pepe, right? We've got to make him work. You know, that has to work. This guy called himself Jesus Christ. That's a big name to take on, you know, bro. He says, Robbie, you know, Aubameyang for Willian seems likely now. I think Chelsea will get the better of this deal. They need a striker that won't hamper Abraham's development. Willian for Aubameyang. Listen, if that happens, fans will go into absolute meltdown. You already heard DT. If you haven't seen it, get along and watch the podcast that we did the other day. He's already in meltdown about the possibility of losing Aubameyang to Chelsea. Aubameyang with Willian coming the other way. Adam says, Willian, yes, he will be good to help coach the youngsters like Martinelli and Nelson, and he's good for the big games. As I said, you can say help to coach those youngsters, but can also end up standing in the way of youngsters as well. That's the problem. He could stand in the way of the progress of somebody like a Reece Nelson. And that you know. Jack Ryan says, Ozil attitude over the wage cut was disgraceful. I can understand he gives money elsewhere to charities, etc. But why should he be exempt from giving money? No wonder Aubameyang wants a significant wage increase if Ozil is on the money that he's on. So he hasn't answered the question that guy was saying. Would you keep him, though, if he was on a lower wages? But he's still not happy with the whole Ozil situation over the pay cut. Owen says, get Traore instead of Willian. Well, that would be brilliant. But obviously, Traore is not on a free, and it'd be very, very high wages. Willian is Mr. Rotten says, Willian has a very high wage. I doubt he will have any top club left in him, or maybe after him, he means. I think we should sign another winger with a cheaper wage and more years in him. Also, we need someone on the left, right? So he's not feeling Willian at all there. This guy is obviously bantering. He says, Willian, Lingard and Smalling, dream summer. Obviously bantering. Joe Farrell says Fraser over Willian. That's it. Ryan Fraser, of course, will be available. You know, it's definitely going to be available as well on a free transfer. I don't know, man. We've got players in those positions, in my opinion. Roderick says, big up Robbie. Arteta could use Sandro Tonali. He's 19, but he plays like Pirlo. Willian would only get in the way of Martinelli and Saka. The later is being scouted by Dortmund, and he's from Rwanda. Enough respect due to you. So some more comments coming in there. Robert says, what's the point on having more years in someone who's not even proven and probably not improving, I think he's, and won't do a better job than Willian, who's free? Oh, a little bit confused by that. YouTube said, if you could take one Chelsea player from this season, who would it be? Yeah, let's look at that. Let's look at this if we took one of their top players, you know what I mean? Because they're always taking all of our players. We took one of theirs. Who would I take? They ain't been that much greater than us, have they? They've been all right. I think that Kovacic has impressed me when I've looked at him this season. He's been quite impressive. Or Mason Mount has been good. Mason Mount, I'll take him. It's not much better at Chelsea than, you know what I mean? You know, I know they're ahead of us, but, you know, Tomori, I like that Tomori at the back. I think he's a very good player. I'll take him as well as a young player. Avrash says, sell Aubameyang to Chelsea if we get Abraham in return. Are you mad? That must be banter. I'm sure of it. That must be banter. Abraham's done well this season, but he's nowhere near in the category of an Aubameyang. This one here from Pat Mays, can't get up on the screen at the moment, but it's a super chat. He says, fix the defense first and build a team around Ozil and our attack if Aubameyang leaves. Oh, it's disappeared now, right? Oh, didn't get to complete that one. It just disappeared off. Let's see if I can get that one back. This guy says, obvious player that I missed out. Kante, yeah, I'll take Kante as well. Definitely from Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, why are we not getting them sort of players from them? That's the thing. It's always the players that they're casting off. You know, why are we not getting one of those? You know, give us one of them quality players, and then we'll think about it. You know, why are we always getting the cast off players? That's the problem. That's the problem with it. You know. Let's get a few more. This guy says, we don't need Willian. He's mediocre quality. We need to get Partey or any good physical DM. Get two new centre-backs. David Luiz and Callum can also become DMs. Socrates, Mavropanos, and Mustafi can go. Right? Sate says, move Ozil out. 1 assist and a goal for the past years in a league is not good enough, and he is not 17, so he wouldn't take him. Omar says Willian is all right, but not for me, so he's not having him. Michael says we need to stop being Chelsea's bin. Where's that comment going? Gone. Oh, I just lost a comment was talking about the here it is. This guy says, I will not take Ozil for £1 after his deal. So he's not having it, you know, which is a very interesting question that guy put out there. Would you have Ozil? You know, if he, you know, at the end of his deal, he decided that I'm going to reduce his wages right down. Would you keep him or would you still move him on? That's a very interesting question out there, and we're going to put it to a poll. And also, I think we're going to put it to a poll as well. Willian, yes or no? Are you feeling Willian? Do you think Willian would make a good signing at Arsenal? On the Ozil thing, this guy says, no, Ozil is finished. He had his time. It's time to go, as Claude would say. Would you take Danny Ings as a panic buy if Aubameyang left? Well, that certainly would be a panic buy and certainly would not be the sort of signing that would get Arsenal fans, you know, off their feet. And listen, he's had a great season, Danny Ings, and he's a very underrated player. But you lose Aubameyang and you bring in Danny Ings, that sends a very bad signal to the Arsenal fans, you know. You're shopping at Harrods and then you got into Tesco's after that. No, that's a bit harsh on Danny Ings, but that would be the perception of it, you know what I mean? Bam says, build a team that can win a Champions League, then it will automatically give a better chance of winning the English League. True, and that requires money, and that requires keeping hold of your best players, you know, and that is what we need to do if we are to be challenging. I'm going to do a couple more. This is from Charles. He says, Robbie, I believe that Arsenal as a football club is finished. The board have no ambitions. Well, we're going to have to give them a chance, I suppose. I know we're saying that year in, year out, but we need to see what these guys can do. They need to step up, because right now, you know, when you're seeing the players we're getting linked to in comparison to some of the other clubs, that tells you all you need to do. No. Final one, Mason, he says, Robbie, Willian will give a shift. I think he means we'll put a shift in, but his goals and assists lack well behind. Would it be worth losing Martinelli, who I rate just for maybe a quick fix from a Chelsea fan? And also stay away from Kante. Yeah, give us Kante, man. Give us Kante. You know, if we're going to take a player from one of these clubs, why don't we take one of those players, man? You know, that's what we need to do. But anyway, listen, thanks for your contributions today. Don't forget, we will return tonight for the News Daily, the evening show at 8 o'clock. So make sure you look out for that. But great response from you guys today. Lots of you guys watching live. Love it. Really do appreciate it. And we'll be back this evening.